So as many of you guys know by now, the popular Frenemies podcast between Trisha Paytas and Ethan Klein ended abruptly last week after Trisha and Ethan had an argument resulting in Trisha walking off of the show permanently. This resulted in a huge back and forth between them online. If you want to learn more about that, I have 3 videos on the subject, but since that huge blowout, a lot of things have calmed down, to the point where Trisha Paytas is happily discussing who will replace her on Frenemies. But that only lasted a few days, as recently Trisha uploaded a video claiming that Ethan Klein has severely triggered her memories of SA. But before we talk about that, I am going to cover what Trisha said prior to that video's release. The calm before the storm, if you will. If you want to skip all of that and get right to the juicy stuff, I'll have a timestamp on screen, or you can use the chapters below to skip ahead. But without further ado, let's continue my previous 3 videos by showing what Trisha had to say about the situation on her TikTok.
I don't know if this makes me look crazy or manic, but I have to say that I had nothing but respect for the crew. I think it's shown in many clips that I've always been so appreciative of them. So like this narrative that I'm disrespectful to people because I shot down a segment that I had no idea who even did it, which Ethan lied and told me Sam did, but then Dan said that Sam didn't. So it was like manipulating this whole situation. But I've always been appreciative of everyone, especially Sam. I thought she was amazing. So whether she's new or female or something, she's being thrown under the bus for this, and I've always loved and respected her.
Are you great?
Well, thank you to Sam and Ian.
What should we do? Do they have should we give them extra shout out? You want to replace my link with their link?
First of all, Ian works for me, so calm down. I do pay him.
Well, tell them they can have whatever link they want. I'm trying to replace mine this week. This is so cool.
Okay, link is life. Links are...
Like, I specifically thought the last episode it was rude for them to go ask to get pizza. I was like, we should hire someone just to go get us pizza because they were busy. They were working on stuff. I said Ian's the hardest working, just as hard working as any of the employees. I corrected myself because I didn't want to be rude to the other employees by saying he was the hardest working, but I've always seen Ian just doing the most, making the memes on the spot. I've always been vocal about that.
They're like, what? What do you want?
You're all fired.
You should just hire someone, since we have it in the budget, just to go get pizza for us. They're the Domino's person. They should just have it here.
I mean, we have 2 people here.
No, but they're working on stuff, their production. We need someone
Sam has volunteered to go get it.
Sam's also production. She's helping putting together things.
Sam, are you busy? She's
See, she is working.
Ian, what are you doing?
He's also prepping.
You guys are prepping snacks?
They're prepping.
They're busy, apparently.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. We should hire for Domino's delivery.
Even in that conversation, I acknowledged that they were overworked. They were doing so much. I was like, let's just hire an additional person. We had. So then Ian's like, I'll go get the pizza. And I was just like, this is so crazy because he was doing literally, I won't say the most, but a lot. And they were putting together little snacks. They had snacks prepared. The green screen was set up. He's always on his computer, editing stuff for whatever. And I was like, to me, that was rude. I was like, oh my God, I was embarrassed. I was like, don't send someone out to go get pizza when it's not his job. He's not a PA.
Yes.
Oh my God. He's the hardest working. Not the hard, but equally as hard.
Ian's the hardest working?
Kind of. He's doing
Ian,
a lot.
Do you think you're the hardest working employee?
That's the same episode that he went and told them that I want them all fired and replaced because I said a segment was shitty at the end. What? That I had no idea who any did. My ideas are called shitty all the time. Anytime I brought up ideas, he's like, that shit. If it's the aerobic acrobatics or whatever. I always try to give shout outs to the crew on the air because I'm just they do a lot. I hate this narrative of just being disrespectful to the crew. Ethan, whatever. I don't care what he has to say about me, but the crew, would never disrespect.
You sent another subliminal message.
Give me a slushie.
We're gonna be on for you today?
And can I also have a small blue raspberry slushie?
A sausage McMuffin?
After those TikToks, Trisha talks about the situation a little more on Twitter. Sarah tweets at her, "I'm excited to see who replaces you, Trisha," to which she responds, "Damn same. I'm a glutton for punishment." Or maybe just a glutton. I don't know. Miguel responds to her by saying, "People always focus on the negative. Stay strong in you always. We should just be happy and thankful we got to see you be part of a great podcast. Frenemies fan for life. Thanks for all the laughs, Trisha." Trisha responds, "Thank you. Honestly, it breaks my heart it's over. Truly. It was the best thing I had going for me. None of this feels good. Just doing my best to stay busy and focus on new beginnings." Internet Nobody says, "I want Gabby on Frenemies," to which Trisha responds, "I'd watch to be honest." Deanna responds to Trisha by saying, "I'm sure it's been said, but is there a space for grace and apology? You don't have to burn it all to the ground. Let there be a middle space?" Trisha responds, "I think one day we'll have peace. More than anything, I've said once and I'll say it again, I feel the worst that the crew were hurt by me. I relive it in my mind. That's the last thing I'd ever want to be to staff, and it happened, and it was time for me to leave. I've literally never said I'm perfect, nor have I blamed any of my mental illness for this week, and I wish people would stop bringing it up as if that defines me as a person. I've been on medication since May for schizophrenia, and believe it or not, my disengaging has improved. In my past, I resorted to the nastiest vile shit that would come to my brain. But I'll tell you, my last breakdown earlier this week, no vile thoughts came into mind. People may not think this is a big step for me. It was. The fact that the voices didn't enter, I was happy. Obviously, I don't think anyone should have to experience my splitting, especially in a work environment, which is why I think God blessed me to be able to work independently online, because I've never been able to keep a real steady job. I hope to change that. I have family that have put up with so much of this shit my whole life. So for me, being diagnosed with BPD and schizophrenia was at least a starting point to fixing myself. I'm fortunate family stayed around. Lord knows I wouldn't have. Nor do I expect it. 2019, diagnosed with BPD at 30 years old. 2021, schizophrenia at 32 years old. And it's late, but never too late. Moses didn't want to date me for months because of extreme episodes, and I'm shocked he stayed around. But since getting treatment together for me, I haven't had one with him since November 2020. And it's proof that what I'm doing is working, even if it's just an inch over a mile. But again, I say that all to say, I still feel stable, in control, and no voices since May 2021, so it's progress. And even if no one else can see it, my family and fiance who know me do, and that's enough for me to stay in treatment. I still split, but I have more control. I don't hear the devil, I just hear rejection, and I try my best to combat it. I'm not perfect, far from it. I'm just trying my best. All that to say, Frenemies ending is almost something I need to push me again. My lowest lows have forced me to dig deeper into progressing into the next phase of mental stability. Oddly enough, my therapist suggested physical activity every day, and that's what I need to focus on. My heart hurts that I let so many people down, and I'm sad I don't have it, but it gets to the point of not being well enough to be around others. That means Trish needs a little isolation to regroup. I hope y'all can kind of understand. I'm continuing to do YouTube and TikTok, cause it feels good for my mind. It's that constant for me, but in no way do I want people to think I'm just happy and fine and no cares in the world. Far from it. Time heals all wounds. Hope in time you can understand. And for people still with me, thank you. I really try my best. Really. And that's all I can do. Someone responds to Trisha, after regrouping, how about a real last episode? I think we deserve that. Trisha responds, I would love that. In time for sure. Maybe to sell the merch. I don't want any money from any of it. I don't like leaving people hanging. It's about a month till it's ready. Hopefully time will be enough by then. Trisha then continues as normal, uploading a video of her making buffalo wings, and Toast for Satan responds, you threw it all away. Now you are making wings. Trisha quote tweets her and says, laughing my ass off, well, this was filmed before, and I still gotta eat? I don't know, lol, what am I supposed to do? Crawl in a hole? Ken tweets out, everybody commenting, read the room on Trisha Paytas' Instagram. What room? No one is dead. Let them post? Trisha responds with a facepalm emoji. Alana responds to Trisha by saying, I'm honestly really struggling to see what you've done wrong. Trisha then responds with a shrug emoji. So, after all of those tweets, things seem to calm down between Trisha and Ethan, and the beef finally seems to be over. But then Trisha uploads a video titled Trigger Warning, SA monetization is off for this one, serious topics, where she talks in depth about how Ethan triggered her. Here is what she says.
I put up with Ethan purposely trying to trigger me on multiple occasions. This is not walking on eggshells. It's oh, I say one wrong thing. No. This is times where I'm don't share the private messages from episode 1, where he shared messages I sent to him, where he shared Moses' private messages, and we asked him on the show not to. And I allowed it because I thought that was, the entertainment of the show. And I think even myself, I got confused what was banter back and forth and what was just straight up triggering me by bringing up my sexual assault. The first things that come to mind obviously are talking to my mom about my sexual assault on a trip from Disneyland. I was so nauseous and so sick because my mother and we had a strain in our relationship when I was younger, around that time. When he asked her about it, it was something that he's like, well, you talk about it on the show, you talk about it on Frenemies, she watches Frenemies, but my mom fast forwards that stuff. It's something that I feel like everyone has to work through, but because I've just started treatment and therapy in 2019, consistently, it's not something that's even been brought up to work through with my family, and it's not even something that I'm comfortable with yet. Another thing that comes to mind is I talked about knowing Robin Williams, and this one really affected me. I think this is when I started to realize I can't keep getting triggered for entertainment purposes. I did go along with it, right? Obviously I get triggered, Dr. Drew. I get triggered, Dr. Drew. And I should have said something. The bus was the turning point for me. Towards the end, Ethan was just like screaming at people, and a lot of people think that's funny.
This is only in Hollywood. Coming up on the left here, you got green hair. A woman with green hair, black shirt, she's got big black boots. Only in Hollywood, guys. Her mask kind of flew off there. Take a look on the left there.
The last girl he's like screaming at, it was a girl with like green hair, and he's like, green hair. The girl was not having it. She was on her way to work, and she literally said something like, this is all you guys have to do is just yell at me, scream at me, whatever, she said, talk to me. And he kept going, and she was clearly just trying not to engage.
Hell no! This is like, this is only in Hollywood, folks. We got green hair. She's heckling back. This is exciting.
And he did that to a lot of people, and a lot of people, you know, thought it was funny. But this particular girl, I just remember being like, I looked at him in such a different light. And you know what? I should have brought all this up, you know, the same way I wish he would have brought up talking about his Tourette's or whatever really affected him. Like, I really wish when he mentioned the Jewish thing, like, I really just should stop. I'm saying all this now because I was like scared it would end. I was scared that it would be called walking on eggshells. It was a lot of things, from sexualizing my skincare product, you know, because it's not just my line. I'm okay with sexualizing me or my stuff. I'm in partnership with somebody, right? They put a lot into it. They put, you know, that this is their creation and stuff.
This is your self-love in a bottle.
Why was that sexual?
What?
Look at it, you're like, oh, hell yeah. I didn't know this was rated R. Balls and cock.
What are you talking about?
Look, 2 balls and a cock. It's like a giant phallus.
Oh my God. It's the products in the thing.
Bro, it's literally a penis.
And then up on that episode as well, you know, a lot of people were like, okay, Trisha was triggered by Gabby. And not yes and no, but it was really when he really was like, well, do you have herpes?
So you don't have herpes, right?
I don't have herpes.
You never had herpes.
I've never had herpes.
It's okay if you did. It's more common than people think.
I would be the first to be like, I have cold sores on my lips sometimes. I've never had genital herpes.
You have oral herpes.
Everyone wants to say, oh, he's so professional and he's so patient with Trish, but it's like at the same time, like being asked those questions by a partner, or now he's my employer. To me, that was banter, and it was accepted because that was our thing. We're just as open. So for him to say Trisha can say whatever and I can't say anything is insane. Like all of that was like triggers, right? When I asked to the very last episode, like, we need to stop. And he's like, yes, you can go up and leave whenever you want. You know what I mean? Like up until even that point, he wanted me to do that thing. And I'm like, I just want to end this. And I don't want to look like the crazy one. I don't want to look like the emotional one that can't handle herself, that can't control herself and just walks off. Everyone is just like, Trisha's greedy, Trisha's this. She made fun of Ethan's Tourette's. And I laugh because I'm uncomfortable. It's not funny, but like Tourette's and like being Jewish and all this stuff. And now I'm anti-Semitic. And it's just like, it's really gotten like blown out of proportion. And nobody wants to hear what I say, but there is a double standard at play there. And that's what I'm really trying to say. There's a double standard, and it's just what it is. You know, I don't know. He has a calmer demeanor than me. He has a bigger fan base than me, whatever the case is, you know, or people are just mad that like I'm choosing to end frenemies. A lot of people were like, oh, he agreed to give you a producer. And he did. We had talked and we were totally fine. He agreed to give me a producer. We agreed to do the Rage Room at like 6:30. And then once the episode went out, you know, Ethan cares a lot about comments and what comments say, what that thread says, Reddit or whatever. Like he cares about that. He goes with what the comments say, with what it. So I'm just assuming that the comments were like Trisha's, I don't know, I'm not sure, because then he texted me late and said, you know, hey, let's not do tomorrow, after saying let's do it, and I agreed. I was triggered when he called me like talent and he's the producer, and then talking about the money thing and how it's changed and all that stuff like that. It's like, I never wanted more money. I never wanted the crew fired. The crew can't be fired because there's no contracts. Frenemies doesn't have employees. There's no contracts. They were H3 employees. Ethan told me that money from Frenemies would go in addition to what they were already getting. Then as they should. I hope they did. I don't know. I don't know if they got paid extra. I hope they got paid extra for Frenemies. I hope they know now that that was what he told me at the beginning, was the 100% of highlights and the 5% go like in addition for their extra hard work on Frenemies. So they couldn't be fired. Ethan's their employer. We don't. Frenemies has contracts with nobody. I don't have contracts. There's no contract.
So that's the general gist of what Trisha was saying in the video. Again, if you want to watch the full 28-minute video, the link will be in the description below. But right after it released, Ethan Klein had a very visceral reaction on Twitter. He tweeted out, I know y'all want me to talk about Trisha, but this whole thing is extremely upsetting and disturbing. I'm still processing it. This is a person who I considered one of my closest friends a week ago, who is now making videos accusing me of sexually harassing her. It's too much. I assume what Ethan is referencing here is when Trisha talked about him asking if she had herpes, because that's the closest thing to an accusation of sexual harassment throughout her entire video. Anyways, Def Noodles reposts Ethan's tweet saying the exact same thing, and Hello Lesh responds to him by saying, not what I took from that video at all. Trisha quote tweets her and says, I assure you Ethan did not watch my video, inciting more unwarranted hate towards me. I don't even know what to do at this point. I took responsibility for wrongs I did on the show, but I'm also allowed to speak on what made me uncomfortable regarding my sexual health/history. I'm not sure if twisting everything I say this week is intentional to drive more hate my way or not, but it's disheartening. Starting with me wanting to fire a crew, to now accusations of sexual harassment, when it's me talking about my sexual health/history. She then retweets Hipstyle responding to Ethan by saying, what? She talked about your dismissive handling of the sexual abuse stories, including her own, from the past. She never said you sexually harassed her. You are not dumb. You were intentionally twisting her words at this point to manipulate her into going back to you. You snake. Trisha continues tweeting herself when she says, last year I was a raging drug addict. Like raging. I had the scariest behavior of my life, and I will always own up to it. I will always apologize. And that's all I can do. There's 9,395 things that I fucked up on that are true. I don't understand Ethan twisting things that aren't. Just because one person has bad behavior doesn't excuse another person. Am I not allowed to feel comfortable over something that was said last week? The week before? Because I've said awful things in my past? I'm so confused. That was the first time my mother heard that story on the way home from Disneyland. She doesn't watch those bits. I've said when I was uncomfortable on the show. This isn't new. She then shows this clip from the Frenemies podcast.
I knew Robin Williams. Yeah. But
let me guess, you fucked him. I don't like
talking about him now that he's deceased, but I did do a story time on him one time, and he was really, really nice. But I don't like go into detail of how I know him, but he was really nice, and Wait,
how do you know him?
I just said I don't want to.
You better tell me now.
I don't want to go into detail. You're like, how do you know him?
Was it an escort thing?
I think I talked about it before. You can Google it if you want. Someone find it. I don't know. No, don't find it. Don't. When someone's dead, like I hate when people talk about people when they died.
Trisha.
Stop! Don't Google it right now.
Robin, you just told me to.
No, it was because he was married, and so I just don't want to talk about
Trisha
it.
Paytas. No. So you were a prostitute and you hooked up with Robin?
It was like
he's known for, doing that stuff.
Yeah, but he was really again of all.
Was he a good lover?
He was really nice. I don't want to talk about it. I just feel like it's so disrespectful. I don't want him to roll. You know what I mean?
You think he'll haunt you?
Trisha then continues tweeting when she says, Ethan expressed on the show he felt uncomfortable with jokes I made about him being cheap in relation to being Jewish. I stopped. I wasn't offended. I was embarrassed and I stopped. Glad he told me. But even on the last episode, if I say I'm not comfortable, well fuck me, right? I can just walk off camera for that clickbait, right? There's no accusations, just a double standard. I did allow him to talk about my sexual assault to my mom, because I thought that's what made the show entertaining. Like, we push each other to the limit. But just like he's saying now the jokes about Tourette's made him uncomfortable, I felt the need to speak my true piece. I respect what made him uncomfortable. I acknowledge it. And I'm so truly sorry those things happened. I thought it was banter. But the minute I mentioned something that made me uncomfortable, which I did numerous times on the show, I'm this manipulative bitch who should stop talking. I haven't made up one lie about Ethan. He's lied or twisted my words in so many ways. 1. I never had conversations about firing the crew. 2. The building was bought before quarantine, before Frenemies was a thought, not for me. 3. Sam made up the game. According to Dan, she didn't. Lies continued. 4. He sends me an itemized list of production he doesn't. 5. Glazing over that 100% of highlights is kept. 6. Saying I accused him of sexual harassment when recounting my experiences on the show and what I was uncomfortable with, which I said on the show. After these tweets, Ethan then updates his thread by saying, Trisha said I was sexualizing her in the workplace, which is the textbook definition of sexual harassment. And of course, while he posted that, Trisha was continuing to tweet on Twitter. The next thing she says is, 2019 was a low for me. I went to 3 mental hospitals and I started seeking therapy. 2020 was another rock bottom last summer for so many reasons, to which I finally accepted I need medication after seeing a psychiatrist. 2021, another low. Voices telling me to do evil things came in. I can say all this to say, I hit these lows because people called me out on my bullshit. Damn, I don't know how Moses is still around. Y'all trying to trigger me with Moses should leave you is some fucked up shit. The funny thing of all this isn't a new low for me. For the first time in a long time, this drama isn't triggering me. I'm stable enough to see reality. I have people in my life who help me see reality. The internet is a hate mob against me right now, and hey, that's okay. Again, there's enough truth to trash me for the rest of my life. They have and they will, and I will always address and acknowledge. I can't go back, but I'll continue to talk about whatever is brought up. Moses has forgiven me 100% for my past behaviors. It's clear Ethan never has from when I fucked up with him and his family. I wish he would have cut me off then, rather than throw it in my face 6 months later to emphasize the portrait of me as a monster. I could tweet so many old clips of Ethan degrading women, joking about sexual assault, but if someone's learning to grow and trying to change, it ultimately hurts that growth, or it can. That hurt a lot because I thought I was truly forgiven, so to have that thrown into a current situation just to vilify me more, like, it didn't feel great. If you keep throwing a person's mistakes in their face, you don't truly forgive them, and no one has to forgive anyone. Lord knows I truly haven't forgiven people in my life, but don't continue doing a show disingenuously with someone you still hold a grudge to. I wish he would have ended it back then, because I do feel like I continued that pain from then to now for him, by just being in his house, and that makes me feel horrible. Name calling was my nastiest attack my entire life, up until last year with the situation that happened, and ever since then I've been able to do away with that tactic when I'm in defense mode. And while some thought my episode Monday was same old Trish, the fact that I didn't resort to name calling, and most importantly voices weren't infiltrating my brain with hate, was a huge improvement for me. Still not great or under control, which is why I left, but improvement. And ultimately I thought my reaction was an improvement, so I was okay with it being posted. I clearly had poor judgment in how I thought I handled the trigger. I thought I did good, but if that is what ended Frenemies, and it was as horrible as Ethan said, why did he air it? It wasn't live. It could have been edited out. And seeing by the members' reaction, people begging for him to not post it, and he reads all the comments, why was it posted? I still don't understand. For people to be on his side? I don't know. What's done is done, but I'm allowed to speak on my socials. If you don't like me or don't want to hear it, unfollow me. I don't know what else to say. I have a life. I have a lot happening, and I'm trying to move on too. Sharing my feelings today was something I needed to say, for boundaries. For myself. I went too long taking my time as an escort as a joke, and laughing about it. It's not okay. I'm not ready to talk about things, and I needed that boundary for me. It was brought up a lot. The Robin Williams story and pushing about it. Asking if I had herpes on the last episode. All that stuff really affected me, and the first part is acknowledging it. I want to move on and never talk about it. But when every comment is, apologize to Ethan, like, I'm sorry, he's just not perfect in this either, and he doesn't think he did anything wrong. Like, why lie to your employees about something I didn't say? Why didn't we talk with everyone together? Why did he lie to me about what they said? Why did he post it if it made me look so bad? Why tell me something is cancelled but still go? Why just say I shouldn't come? I know, no. I've done 50 things that were wrong over the past 9 months, but he can't see one error anywhere? That's insane to me. Now, something interesting about this tweet in particular is that Brandy responded to it, showing that this was actually the second version of that tweet, and Trisha deleted her initial version that said, I will admit to 83,000 things I've done horrible and wrong, but he can't see one mess up anywhere. He makes $0. I steal all the money according to him. Anyways, continuing on with Trisha's tweet, she says, and everyone can stop acting like they know the contracts. There wasn't any ever. This whole thing was blown out of proportion, and now there's no going back. But if you want me to move on, just know I do too. And saying apologize to is not it. Just unfollow me. I have so many amazing things I've been working on that I want to start talking about, and this dark cloud is not something I want looming over it. I too just want it to stop. And so far, she's kept to her word. Although I'm sure it will come up again. So if you don't want to miss the continuation of this, be sure to subscribe with notifications on. Thank you so much to my channel members for supporting the channel, in particular Scrubby, who's donated $100 a month. But with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in another video.